Hello folks, John Goldstein here. The last time you saw the inside of this vehicle, the chairs were still there, the kitchen slide out was still how it was. Now let's talk about what the changes are and what that really looks like. If you forget what it looks like, you could always go back to the first video and kind of have a refresher. The fridge and everything used to be over here, counters and the TV over there. This is going to be a booth. We're trying to simulate what we're going to have right here for a window. We're going to have a pop-up TV right here. This customer, for some reason, didn't want to have any more propane appliances and didn't want to have any propane, and he wanted to upgrade it into an AquaHot hydronic hot water heating system that required extensive reworking of what was currently here to make it be what it needs to be. Over here is an example of how that's going to pass hot water over these radiators, and then there's a signal that's going to turn this fan on and blow that air over those coils to give you warm heat inside of here without a gas propane furnace. Over here is where you're going to have a nice pull-out island with some access over here, a fireplace in the front. This is going to be the dishwasher. He's going to have a sink right here. We're still trying to finalize and fine-tune what kind of refrigerator will give him the most space in this general area that doesn't come floor to ceiling, because we need enough room underneath there on the bottom for all of these wires to go and all of the hoses for all of those AquaHot floor registers to be able to go in and out. And we need a drain for the sink that's going to be right here. Over here is what we're kind of simulating as a spice rack. Over here, he used to have a very large and obtrusive booth, and he wanted to kind of shorten it and make it smaller so that way he has room for all of his guests and still room to play with the rest of the design in the back of this slide out. To try to make this AquaHot system work, we needed to fish all of these wires from down in the bay all the way up through the chassis into this area, so that way when we hook up these switches, it'll actually do what it's supposed to do. In the bathroom, we had to install another floor mounted radiator so that way in the bathroom we can have heat. Also, we had to run all of the wires. We had to add another AquaHot floor register back here, so we have everything opened and exposed, so that way we could fish the wires and fish the coolant lines, because the way these actually work is it passes hot coolant over those radiators instead of burning propane, so that way when that hot water is inside of there and those fans come on, you have even heat in the bedroom. Another really cool feature of that AquaHot system is it has an engine preheat, so we had to sit there and we had to plumb in a line over here, so that way if this engine is ever cold and you're in somewhere where it's really cold and you need it to start, you hit that switch, gets the engine warm, makes it start up nice and easy. Over here, like every other RV out there, they're always trying to cram everything that they can into every single tiny space that you don't really know is even there. As part of this upgrade, you can see it from the bottom of this closet. That's where the old water heater used to be, and now that we've gotten rid of that form of water heat, we have a panel on the outside and we have all of that extra space to figure out what kind of upgrade or what kind of way this customer wants to finish off the additional area. Another part of this build that's still underway and still not decided is how we're going to try to reuse this space, give him a desk when he needs a desk, and make it be a bed when it needs to be a bed. So stay tuned to see how this looks when we're done. Now that we've talked about all the transformations that have happened on the inside, let's go show you what it looks like on the outside of this RV. This pile of stuff used to make what that kitchen used to be. This is a perfect example of what some manufacturers have to do in order to keep that residential refrigerator safe and secure. Right here we have where the water heater used to be. We have it paneled up so that way all the critters that are running around here late at night don't jump inside this vehicle and make it so we have more things to do. Here's what we've done to overlay and cover where the old furnace used to be. Customer wants us to do it in metal, so that way I believe he's going to wrap it. He doesn't want to go through any expensive painting, but he wants a finished surface on the outside covering up what used to be the furnace. On this vehicle it had multiple furnaces, so we have the same scenario over here on this side. We had to reconfigure this whole bay so it could fit and house this AquaHot 450D. We've run all of those wires down here We got our control board. We have most of our plumbing hooked up. Past these wires here, we have an inline diesel filter because this unit's gonna run off of diesel, so we have to make sure that diesel fuel is clean. We have these two PEX lines with the supply and the return that are actually gonna go inside of the vehicle, making sure that all of that coolant can flow throughout all of the system. We're waiting on a couple more things to finalize the details so that way we can try out this bad boy and see what she really does. Well folks, now you can see the progress of where we are now compared to last time and how this space is already in the process of its transformation, and it's mocked up trying to make sure that this customer has the final say before we build it and make it be finished in this type of a layout. So stay tuned. Click that bell to get notified of future projects and updates on this project, or if you're in Fontana, California, stop on by.